Hey guys, and welcome back to part two of We Don't Have a Healthcare System, We Have a Sick Care System episode. In this episode, Anthony, Franz, and I speak on finding our baseline, where we can form a solid foundation for ourselves by finding a balance between overall physical and mental health. I'm super excited, and we're picking up right where we left off on part one, so let's get started.
What people's baseline is right now in general, if you take the general population, it's pretty far off where it should be health-wise. And so there's this defeatist attitude almost in our society where I don't have a good baseline. And so, I feel like crap all the time. The baseline has to be there. And if I live by this 80-20 rule, 80% of the time I do exactly what my body needs. I eat exactly what I need to eat. I get exactly the amount of sleep that I need to get. And I have 20% of the time where, yeah, I do stray from that baseline a little bit. And it's what was that?
Which is normal. It's
Which
life.
is no, it's life, right? I'm not going to necessarily, I'm not going to expect everybody to not, you know, have these crazy nights out, have these social gatherings where well, let's just take their diet, for example, where they don't eat off of their, baseline diet, right? You can have a really good baseline diet, and then when you go off of it, you kind of bounce back to it because you realize, this is a really good example, I think, when you eat really well, 80 to 90% of the time, and you chat and have those times where you indulge in whatever it is, you don't feel as well as you do when you're on that baseline diet. And I go through the same experience. And so it makes me want to get back to that baseline even more. And it's easier because the habit's already there. The habit is the baseline, a healthy baseline, not the unhealthy baseline. You know what I mean? And you can't expect people to make drastic changes that are going to be sustainable. And that's why there has to be this idea of it's like driving a car. If you are steadily pushing on the throttle, going down the freeway, your fuel mileage is going to be really good. You're going at a good pace. And then when you start to surge, you stop and go, stop to go, stop and go, stop and go, your fuel mileage drops down.
Mhm.
It's not sustainable to be surging in a car, right? And for to cross back to your health, you can't surge being healthy. You have to have this steady flow of being healthy because that's the most sustainable way to do it, to have a healthy lifestyle. And I don't like diets. I don't like, all of these different ideas of I'm going to have a New Year's resolution that's going to just completely change my life and it's going to be a great 2024. It doesn't work that way. It can for a little bit of time, and we saw this in the gym all the time. We would have January, February be these crazy busy months where people would just sign on because they're making these New Year resolutions, right? It's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable because they've tried to change too much too quick, and it's a drastic change that is not sustainable for them. If you start to change things a little bit by little bit, every week, every month, then your lifestyle starts to change, right? And that baseline becomes really a strong, healthy baseline that is more sustainable than making these huge changes to your life.
Yeah, you don't have to wait till Monday to make a change.
No.
And um yeah, I feel like that's something that's very hard because it's honestly it's sad, but it's not normal for someone to be healthy. You're questioned if you eat healthy. You're not questioned if you go and get fast food for lunch.
Who's putting on me?
Well, like, for example, at work, I got it wasn't in a rude way, but they asked me why I ate the same thing every day for lunch. And
Mhm.
they were asking me because like I felt like my lunch was bomb. It was literally teriyaki chicken with sauteed vegetables and rice, and then I brought some seaweed, and that the seaweed was like the highlight of my meal. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I meal prepped. You know,
Yeah.
don't prep your meals? And they're like, no, like I just grab whatever, some snacks. And I'm like, oh yeah, I meal prep every week. Just it's just easier on me. And I've noticed that. I know I've been out of our gym for a long time working at a gym, but it just felt so natural there. You're surrounded by people that they get it. You carry around a gallon of water and it's like, yeah, like why don't you have two? But now
Right,
like, oh, you drink that much water? Why are you drinking so much water? I'm like, because you're supposed to drink that much water. Like,
right,
especially for us,
right.
we live in Arizona. We're outside, even just walking 5 seconds, you're sweating. Like you need water. And everything is just so foreign to people when in reality, me drinking a lot of water should be so normal. No one should think twice. Me having healthy food should not be weird. But I feel like that's also a reason why it's so hard for people to want to start is because maybe they're the only one in their whole family
Yeah,
want
absolutely.
to change the way they are. And like when I lived at home, I had my own cabinet for my food because my parents, my sister, they didn't want to change anything about what they were doing. So it was really hard for me to have to like say no to their dinner and like eat what I want to eat because I know that it's more nourishing to my body.
Right.
Um, Always would like throw in the pizza and stuff because you know me. But other than
20
that,
rule, 80/20 rule, right?
exactly. But it's really hard, and especially for people that maybe don't feel good a lot of the time, either mentally, physically, whatever it is. Like you don't want to be active and you don't want to eat healthy. You want to feel good in that way, you
Yeah,
know?
and I think, I think a really key point to make is two things. There is a lack of education when it comes to living healthy. There's not a lot of education out there. People don't have that baseline that maybe you and I and Franz, have already. We already know, and we've experienced it. I grew up in a very healthy household, and all of my siblings, after they became adults, they've all kind of done their own thing. There's still a few of us that are really still, really health conscious. There's some that don't really care about it that much and to each their own, obviously, right? And I think the biggest thing is understanding as people who do have these healthy baselines, right? That people can lack education, and when you don't know what to do, you can become overwhelmed very easily. And so one of the biggest things that we focus on in our office is just meeting people where they're at, right? You Empathy is huge. You have to be empathetic to someone's situation and just realize that there could just be a lack of knowledge. There could be a lack of even motivation because there isn't knowledge. And oftentimes, I think that it's really important to understand the person in front of you and who they are. When there is any sort of confusion, there tends to be hesitation. Confusion leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to lack of action. And I see it a lot we saw it a lot in the health or in the fitness industry where people just came in and they didn't really know what to do. And eventually, they stopped coming to the gym because they didn't know what to do. And that's really what a trainer should be there for, not to, make somebody buff or like to get them to work out. You want to be there to help educate people on how to have a healthy lifestyle that incorporates the gym into it. And that's really what we're trying to do in our office too with chiropractic. Educate to help them understand that incorporating chiropractic adjustments into their weekly, their monthly schedule, it's not a corrective thing. It's a lifestyle. You need chiropractic to be a part of your lifestyle. My baby is 11 months old. She's been getting adjusted since she was a week old. And it is so awesome to see the trajectory that her health is going to take, And so I didn't have that growing up, and it's going to be really cool to see her as really the first person in our family that has chiropractic care from the beginning to just really see how she develops, how she is able to have this healthy baseline already. We'll do everything that we can to give her the best tools ever. And she just started eating food. We have a very healthy, really healthy baseline with her diet because it's it's something that it's a part of the foundation. It's just one building block of the foundation. Chiropractic is another one. Exercising is going to be another one. Being outdoors and understanding, what you put in your body. All of these are building blocks of a foundation that if you don't have it, as you get older, you kind of just go with whatever is the strongest push of the wind through your sail, right? Well, if you have a really strong foundation, you're able to absorb whatever stress, whatever shock that the world gives you, and you're able to say, "Oh, I can, I can get refocused and I can be educated." But empathy goes a long way in understanding that a lot of people don't have those tools, and where it might be fundamental to us, it's not fundamental to everybody. A majority of the people, it's not fundamental for them. And so then they have to go and obviously apply whatever knowledge, and whatever knowledge we're imparting. A book is not good. It's a book is great, but if you don't read the book, then the book is useless. It's just a paperweight, at that point. What's the difference between a book and a rock? Well, the rock has just several uses. The book can be applied in so many different ways, right? Because if you read through a book, you can use the knowledge that you extract from that book and then apply it to your life. There's a difference. You want to provide people books and then have them understand that they are equipped themselves to apply the knowledge that you're giving them. You can give them a rock or a book. Which one do you think is going to be more effective and more useful in life, right? And a book is only useful though if it's applied moving forward. That's really where the hard part is, because every human is different. And we use this a lot in our office. You can lead a horse to water, but you
Oh,
can't make them drink water, man. It's
you're out
just
here teaching horses how to drink first.
yeah, right. We're trying, man.
Use that
We're
example.
trying, but we can't make the horse drink water, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And so it's really hard to take people from awareness to action. And that's, doctor actually means teacher. And we talk about this in our talk. I know you read it, Jane. We're teachers. That's what we are here to do. We're here to teach our fellow man and women that they can be healthier. They have so much more potential than where they are. And it's just a matter of them going from awareness, right, to
Mhm.
action. And that transition can be very difficult and it looks different.
One of the things I'm going to share it with you guys here, but a lot of people, when they have a kidney transplant, they have typically two or more, but not usually one in a lifetime, especially I had it so young. My goal is to be one of the people that die old with this one kidney that I was given. And obviously, with all the things we've been talking about, that is possible. And majority of the reasons why people end up needing a second one is because they kind of abuse that organ because
Mhm.
it is more fragile than a normal person's kidneys, right? Um, Although this year has been kind of rocky with how
Yeah.
we've been doing so much stuff, but in the long run, that is one of my goals, to be able to die an old woman, wrinkly and gray, with this same kidney.
You're
And I
Asian, so
feel
you
like
probably
that's
won't have wrinkles.
because I'm Asian.
Yeah.
But no, and I feel like that's so possible. And when I see people that are like 50 and they have to get a new kidney now because they went back to their exact same lifestyle they were in before, but it's like, oh, I feel good, I can do whatever I want, blah blah blah. And then it's like this kidney takes the hits for what, 20, 30 years, and then
Yeah.
they need it again. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's not their fault, but it could have been prevented. And
And
so
you just described everything we just talked about, right? Fill in
mhm,
the blank. It doesn't have to be a new kidney. It could be a new exercise, regimen. It could be a new healthy diet, lifestyle change. It could be whatever it is, right? But if it doesn't change how you live your life, it's useless. That
exactly.
kidney is useless if you don't take care of it because it has an expiration date, right? How
Hmm.
your lifestyle dictates how long that is effective. And so I think that, you getting a transplant is such a gift, and I know that you believe that it's such a gift, and it's changed your life so in such an amazing way. Having a healthy lifestyle is such a gift because it liberates you in so many different ways. It gives you so much freedom, and how you live your life and how you accept that gift really
Hmm.
really it affects the trajectory of your life. It affects the effectiveness of that gift. You know, go back to how are you going to use that book of knowledge? How are you going to live your lifestyle to optimize and give you that use of the kidney in the best possible way? And so it's a matter of, like you said, if you don't change your lifestyle and you go right back to the same lifestyle that you had before, nothing's really going to change. You've just kind of you've put off the issue to
Mhm.
it becomes more of a bigger issue down the road as well.
Yeah, I did want to say this too. So, like, I got sick, whatever. I got better and I went into remission to the point where the doctors couldn't find a sign of anything, right? They couldn't see that I had kidney disease, nothing. And it was, like 5 years later, I let stress get the best of me, literally, let stress get the best of me. And that's how I ended up needing a kidney, blah, 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 blah. And I still feel like I'm not the best when it comes to managing stress. However, he knows whenever I'm stressed, I have to take a step back because I don't want to let that change like where my life goes, literally, because I've done it. Like I've been through it. I let myself get so stressed out that my kidneys failed. Like
Right.
literally, they failed, and I just now am grateful every day that I don't want to go to the gym. I think about the fact that we would go when I was on dialysis and I was so sick that I would have to leave sometimes because my heart rate would be like through the fucking roof. Like I couldn't even function. And now I go to the gym and oh, like I just don't want to leave the couch, you know?
Right. Right. It's about perspective at that point, right?
Yeah, like I am able to like even if it's 30 minutes and I barely do anything, I'm moving. I'm doing something. I'm making myself mentally push myself farther than I would have gone if I would have just stayed home and watched TV like I want to. But I'm just gonna go and like I feel like my compromise is I go when I don't want to go, I go to the apartment gym. It's just a walk away. There's everything I need in there, but I don't force myself to go to the gym. I go to the apartment gym, and I feel like that's kind of what I've been doing when I feel in that mind space, whatever. And at least I'm still going, but I'm
Yeah.
more grateful for the gym, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
because
and I think like I just said a few seconds ago, it's about the perspective, right? Your perspective shifts a little bit now because your perspective can't shift if you're not aware that something can change and be more positive on your body and your lifestyle, right? And I think that those days that you do have the difficulty going to the gym and it's just, you're either more tired, you could probably step back and realize I probably did something the last few days that like put me to this state of overwhelmness and I'm overstressed and I'm overtired. I probably took on too much or I went out a little too much or whatever it is, right? It's the same concept with everything in life, it's you hit a point where you have to step back and realize there has to be that healthy baseline. And when you steer away from that healthy baseline, like you do sometimes, like I do sometimes, you have to get back to it, right? You have to, it's like a magnet. It should be a magnet, like bringing you back, right?
I feel too, like for example, he want to have a baby, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people think when you have a baby, you can't like do a lot of things. But because I'm thinking about it, all that on my Instagram, whatever, all I see is women being huge, pregnant, and they're like in the gym and they're moving or they're going on walks or they're going for a slight jog or something, right? And I just feel like it's such a beautiful thing to see that women, men, whatever, like they're not letting like certain circumstances stop them from doing their like living the life that they want to live and the lifestyle that they want to live to better them in the future,
Yeah,
and yeah.
we talk about this all the time because we have a baby now. She's almost a year old, and we've realized we knew this going into having a baby that we didn't want our child to completely disrupt or completely change our lifestyle. Your lifestyle just changes a little bit because it has to. You're not going to be out every night. You're not going to be out every weekend. Like the baby kind of dictates a little bit of how your lifestyle is changed a little bit. It changes that baseline a little bit, right? But we've always said that whatever our lifestyle is, Alina is our daughter, she's going to come along for the ride. I'm not going to get on the ride that Alina is going to completely change my lifestyle. I want her to experience the lifestyle that we have. It's really important, though, that our lifestyle is sustainable, though, because if it's sustainable for us and we can bring her along, then it can become sustainable for her. And if, we're going out every night partying and we're getting a babysitter, that opens a whole can of worms that is just now we're like our lifestyle is it's harder to wake up in the middle of the night when we've been out all night already, right? And she's had a bad night. But on the flip side of the coin, like if we have a really healthy relationship with our lifestyle and her lifestyle, getting up in the middle of the night is not hard because it can be hard because you want to be sleeping, right? But she, Brianna does not like me saying this. Alina is an accessory to our life. Alina is an accessory to our life because I I realize that there's so many parents out there that allow having a child to completely disrupt their entire lifestyle. I still want to work out. I still want to I still want to hang out with friends, and Alina is just going to have to come along. Now, I can't take Alina to the club, but guess what? I don't want to go to the club because I want to go to sleep. And every once in a while, we have a wedding coming up in a couple weeks and we're getting a babysitter for the first time for like us being alone, and we're like super excited about that. But we also know that, you know, and this is a little bit of a tangent, I think, but still, we know that how that wedding night's gonna go, whether we party till 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Alina is waking up at 6:30 the next morning, no matter what, and the babysitter is not gonna be there. And we have to take that into consideration. And it's a really big stretch, but every part of your life is the same way, right? Like life goes on. You still have to go to work. How you show up to work on Monday, how you show up for Franz, and how Franz shows up for you every day, it's affected by what you do previously. It's affected by the night before, the weekend before. And so really going into this is like a whole different kind of lifestyle talk, but it's the same moral. The same moral of the story is there has to be this baseline. And once you come off of that baseline, it should be easier to get to the baseline because you feel better at that baseline. You do better at work in your relationship in that baseline, and you're able to adapt really well. And that I think is super key because we talk about stress and how everybody experiences stress. How your body adapts to stress is really the biggest unknown variable because everybody's different, right? The nervous system is the same in every single person. We have the same amount of nerves coming out of our brainstem. The person's lifestyle dictates really how their body adapts to the stress and how their nervous system adapts to the stress. And so, you being a kidney transplant person, your ability to adapt to stress is going to be affected, obviously, by the kidney transplant a little bit, but you're not allowing that to control you. You're not allowing that to be like an excuse to feel sick, to not have energy, to go out and just accept the fact that you're going to feel like crap the next day because, oh, I had a kidney transplant. Well, no, you need to take responsibility for your own actions, right? You need to take responsibility for the actions that you make every single day. And so, just as much as, we have to take responsibility for our actions when it comes to our baby and we have to show up for her. I mean, we just have to show up for her. I think it's a really good analogy for life in the sense of there's always going to be responsibilities, there's always going to be stressors. How you show up and meet those stressors face to face, that's up to you. What you're putting into your body, how much sleep you're getting, the lifestyle that you lead, that really is dictated by the decisions that you make. But you have to make decisions that are sustainable long term, not like I said, are surges of health, surges of the gym, surges of eating, clean. Make an overall baseline change. And I don't think there's ever a point where it's too late to change your baseline. There's never a point where it's too late.
Feel like one of my problems right now So I've said this to a couple of people. So I got really sick at 21 through 25, 25. And I feel like during majority of that, I was like in a victim mindset. I felt like I can't live my life because of this. I can't do this because of this. Like very much in that state. And once I got my kidney, which was 1 year ago, the second that happened, I'm like, we have to do this. Like, we literally do something, or I have something planned every single weekend since I've had the transplant. Like, it is crazy to me. And I feel like that's something I'm working on is trying to realize that life, like, I'm 27 now, and life is going to keep going on, and there's still going to be time to do all of these things, but I don't, I really don't know what it is. I feel like it's because I feel like I lost time, maybe.
Mhm.
But trying to, like, oh, you want to come visit us? Okay, you have to come like in 2 weeks. Oh, you want to do this? Oh yeah, I'm down. I'll go to Vegas. No worries. It's like 2 weeks away, but I'll go to Vegas. Like I need to be able to control myself and be able to either say no or like, I don't
I
know.
think like what he said, just taking the gift that you were given and using it to the best of your ability and your advantage.
Mhm.
I've noticed her become a go-getter since her kidney transplant. Not to say that she wasn't one before, but I really feel that it is a gift, right? And if
Mhm.
our lives like a kidney transplant, like
Yeah.
this entire time, like that, as if we did get a like
It's
every
a
day.
gift to be alive, which people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
I think of a gift that I could wear shoes because my feet used to get swollen. So it's like it's a gift to wear shoes. Like people don't think it's like so amazing that you're alive right now. It's yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really key. I think Franz makes a good point because the transplant's a huge gift, right, in your life, and not everybody experiences that dressed or that big of a gift. But when we sit down, and as a kid, we did a lot of journaling. Having been adopted, we did a lot of journaling just to kind of express ourselves in a way where we felt free to not be judged, or just a raw, natural thought can just be written on paper, right? And I think it's really a cool tool to have a form of journaling for the rest of your life because you take this concept of this huge gift that the kidney is to you, right? Well, Sal down the street, Sal doesn't have that big gift, but maybe Sal, like you, can't put her shoes on without pain tying them on, right? And so we look at that and we, you know, what can you do to improve your life and your health to be able to put your shoes on without having an issue? And when she accomplishes that goal, that's a gift to her, right? Everybody's gifts look a little bit differently, but if we can become more aware of the gifts that life gives us each and every day, maybe it's one gift a day, maybe it's three, maybe it's one or two gifts a week, you become more thankful. And being in a state of thankfulness shifts your perspective. And that's really, I think, what's happened. I think, France, to your point, she was a go-getter before, but there's a shift of perspective now, right? After the transplant. And so you live life a little bit differently, right? And when you have the ability to acknowledge these gifts and when you take advantage of writing down gifts or what you're thankful for. My mom always used to say, we'd go around the dinner table and we would talk about our day, and she would let us all kind of just talk and just whether it be complaining or whatever it is, right? And then she would say, okay, everybody needs to go around the table and tell everybody else one thing that they're thankful for today. And we would go, and we didn't do this every night, but we did this pretty often. And the conversation, the mood changed in the room. It was more of like, chaos at the beginning, right? Where you're just like unloading your thoughts. Oh, this happened, my brother pissed me off or whatever it is, right? And then you go from that and you transition to, I'm really thankful that I got to spend time with dad, digging a trench outside. We had some really good conversation. My sister, I'm really thankful, that mom and I got to work on this sewing project that I really wanted to work on. I'm really thankful that, the lights came on today because the bills are paid. I'm thankful for food on the table. Whatever it is, when you start to be thankful in a state of thankfulness, your perspective changes. And it's not that you're a different person. It's not that you weren't a good person before. It's just that your mental state changes and you're able to view life through a lens of thankfulness, which is clearer than viewing it through a blurred lens of complaining, regret, frustration. And so we try to bring awareness to that to our patients, and we have them write down 5 different goals. It could be literally tying my shoes with no pain, going to social gatherings because I haven't been going to social gatherings because my back is I have to sit down and my back hurts, whatever it is, the types of goals can span patient to patient. But really, what we're doing is trying to get them to emotionally tie themselves to whatever is going on in their body. And if they can be aware as they progress through care of all these small things that are actually improving, not just the back pain, they start to realize. I told this one patient, I've noticed that you are just like your personality like is just blossoming. And in 2 3 months of her being in the office, she came in. She was this really quiet and timid, 40-year-old woman. And now she comes in and literally her posture, she comes in with her head held high, her purse, she walks in, hi, Anthony, hi, whatever. And she sits down and she will not stop talking. And I'm like, this is awesome to see. Obviously, we're making symptomatic improvements, but this person's personality and the energy that she brings that carries her about her has completely changed because she's more aware of things in a different way. She's looking at life through a different lens.
Um, I actually did a whole podcast on this before. Like, ever since I'm sure I've talked to you about this before, but I'm like a used to be a big journaler, and I could not go to work at In Shape unless I journaled something I'm grateful for the second I woke up. I would wake up, go get my coffee, I would sit in the backyard, let the dogs play, and I would bring out my journal and be like, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for. And then if I had like, I don't know, something that was bothering me, like whatever, I would like journal about it, let my anger out about
Mhm.
situation. And I felt like that was like a coping mechanism, like so many things, like exactly what you said, like, oh yeah, like this is good, I don't have swollen feet today, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And something that I passed on to some friends and my sister still journals today, like because I just would tell her how much of an impact that type of stuff had on me. I'm not sure how often she does it, but she does tell me like when she sits down and writes down the things she's grateful for, it could be something so small, but it makes her feel a little bit better. Like we went over it honest, like I think it was a couple days ago, and she's like, yeah, I'm just grateful that I have this new job. It makes me so happy. I can't believe how happy I am. And like kind of like going off of that. And I've been such a firm believer of journaling. Like I haven't done it in so long, and I whenever I feel a certain way that's not good, I tell myself like I need to get back into journaling because literally just writing in a journal, I'm fucking pissed about A, B, and C, relieves so much stress off of the body to just let it out in a healthy way where I don't have to tell him like, I'm so annoyed with you right now. No, I can write it down. I'm annoyed with Franz because of A, B, and C. And then I can like think about why am I actually annoyed with him? No,
Right. Right.
else. So then I can avoid an argument and like I don't know. I totally agree, and I'm a big fan of it
And I
because
think it's you're taking responsibility for your own mental state, your own, emotions, because whether you are annoyed with friends or not, or whether you are frustrated with whatever aspect of life, like it's your responsibility as a person to process those emotions in a healthy manner, right? And I think journaling, what really helps with journaling is it's a release, like you said, of a stressor that you've absorbed, because it is mind-boggling to me how something in your mind can completely affect your physiology, your physical body, right? And that transcends into relationships, saying, at the beginning of the day, for example, we'll just take your guys' relationship. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, you look over at Franz and he's still asleep or he's working, whatever it is. You say, I'm really thankful for Franz because of this and this and this. Now that you wake up and you've woken up and you've started your day on a baseline that's of thankfulness, right? Like you're thankful for Franz, whatever Franz could do the rest of the day. Not, it doesn't make you immune to, being upset with Franz throughout the rest of the day, but it gives you a start that really helps you manage your own emotions instead of making it a Fran's responsibility to fix your emotions. And I think at the bottom, at the root of all of that, you're imparting a little bit of grace to Franz before anything even happens. And when you have that state of mind of thinking grace before anger, grace before, retaliation or reacting to whatever he said. It's almost like he says something or you say something to him because it could be the same thing for him. And instead of immediately reacting, you're taking a second to take a deep breath in, actually process, right? You're aware. Now you're going to act out on whatever you're aware of, but how you react is very dependent on how you are transitioning from that awareness state to the action state. That process looks different for everybody, but awareness of Franz annoying you or you annoying Franz, what action are you going to take based on that emotion? You know, what is that emotion going to dictate? How are you going to allow that emotion to dictate how you guys, the rest of your day goes? And so I try to do this with Brianna more and more. I do it a lot internally because I'm quirky as hell. I am anal as hell. I am like a stick. I'm so like, sometimes I'm just like so set in my ways, and Brianna is like almost the complete opposite of me. She's so empathetic with people. She's so just go with it. And she has this ability to not allow people's actions to affect her as much as I do. And I'm still trying to learn how to do that. And I think part of the reason is like when she goes from that awareness state to the action state, her process is so much better than mine is. And so it takes a lot more effort on my end. And so I think that becoming aware and you're aware of a lot of different things throughout your day, whether it's with coworkers, whether it's with yourself, whether it's with friends, the process of transitioning from awareness to action, you control that. And that's kind of like the biggest thing that we want to allow people to understand, especially when we do these talks. Awareness and action, they have to be bridged by something. What are you going to bridge it with? Thankfulness, regret, anger, passion that's just lashing out. What is that bridge going to look like? And so we get to build the bridges. And that's, journaling, like you said, is a really great way to bridge awareness to action in a really healthy way. And sometimes action looks like not doing something. Sometimes it looks like just releasing it and letting it go.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important for people to realize too, because just because you have an emotion doesn't necessarily mean that that emotion has to be acted on.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things could just be let go. And I'm guilty of that. Like my face says it all. Um,
No filter.
yeah, exactly. But no, exactly. But Franz, do you have any closing questions?
Oh, just a lot of good points that you made, man. I think my biggest takeaway from this is your point on being thankful, the act of Thanksgiving. It made me realize that Thanksgiving counteracts stress.
Yeah, sure.
Being thankful, you're defeating stress that day. Not forever, because obviously stress comes like a sheep in wolf's clothing. You don't know that appeared. For her, it was kidney failure.
Well, even now, it's like, yeah, it keeps coming. Just because I got my gift, that shit hasn't stopped. I'm always stressed.
Yeah. And for everyone, it comes in different ways. Like the stress affects you so many different ways.
Mhm.
Some people, it could be depression. And I think that what I love about this, it really shows your how in tune you are with just health in general. Not once did you even mention, and that's why we do this at, as a chiropractor, I can do. You're not trying to sell you as a chiropractor. You're on top of it when it comes to health in general, and you're so aware of things that are happening, your friend and what she gone through and stuff like that, where you're just an advocate for health in general. And I think that that's going to make you the best chiropractor in the world, man, because you're not selling chiropractic solutions. You're selling lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm really thankful, honestly, that that's the takeaway because, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think that, there's so much more to learn, and it's just, we're all on individual journeys, but this journey that I'm on right now is just starting, honestly, and I can't wait, honestly, for the number of people that have knowledge to increase because society in general is my patients are the patients that are in the office, but really my target audience for life is everybody around me. I kept saying the community of San Diego, it's like there's like 3 million people in this county, and that's 3 million people that in my eyes they need to be touched, not physically, just with chiropractic. They need to be touched and equipped to live the best possible life, the best, healthiest possible life that they could live themselves, because I deserve to be happy. I do think that you guys deserve to be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy. I really do believe that. And what happiness looks like in one person versus another one, that's going to be different, obviously. But I believe that everybody has the right and should have the tools to equip them to be the happiest that they possibly can. And I just feel like chiropractic is one of those tools. I think conversations like this, we talked about a lot of different things, and chiropractic was just a small fraction of it. But really, it's shifting the paradigm in our society and just the way that people think about their health, because I, I refer to the healthcare system as the medical system because it's not a healthcare system. The healthcare system is the overall lifestyle that people implement into their lives, and that's where health comes into play, not going to the doctor. The doctor has its place, obviously, if your arm's falling off, don't come to the office. I don't like the sight of blood. I'm not going to adjust your arm back into place.
Being someone that also does like has been in like our position, but also been someone that's treated by Stanford, like all these hospitals, right? Like it's so controversial because I truly believe that like health, like natural health is the answer to everyone's problems over you see a doctor, they give you a medicine, you see a doctor, they give you a diagnosis. I've accepted now that I've had what I have, but at the same time, and there's actually like a whole video I made about like I don't accept like medicine, blah 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 blah, because truly, like deep down to my core, I don't really believe in medicine. I don't. And that's so controversial because I am taking a handful of pills every day.
Yeah.
But I've accepted that anti-rejection pills are going to help me move on, but there's so much more I can do with also doing that that will help me like live my best life.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with that.
I think, just really briefly, you're at the point where you are having to take those medications for a reason. I think that you've taken responsibility, and kidney failure happens for a number of reasons, obviously. And so kidney transplants happen are necessary for a number of reasons. But I think the biggest takeaway in what you said, because I've been learning through this conversation as well, is you're taking control and you're taking responsibility for where you are now and where you want to be. And that's really important because you do have to take those medications. You can't allow your body to regress. And I don't know all the medications that you're on, but you're also aware of the fact that your previous lifestyle did get you to the point where you are right now. And I think that's super humbling for you to say that to yourself, but it's also super humbling for me to hear because it puts things into perspective in evaluating my life. What are the things that I'm doing right now that will lead me to, the figurative kidney transplant in my life? I want to avoid getting a kidney transplant. I want to avoid having to rely on medication because of the decisions that I made, and I think maybe that's one of the biggest takeaways for me during this conversation, standing back a little bit and just evaluating what do I need to do differently in my life, even though, I do a lot of positive things, but there's always room for improvement, right? What do I do to help shift even a little bit more that healthy baseline? How do I make it stronger? Because like I said, it's never too late to change the baseline. And I think that um, that's going to be really one big takeaway for me during this conversation, because your story is pretty unique, pretty awesome. You're really young to have gotten a kidney transplant this early on. And I think the trajectory of your life inevitably is changing and has changed because of the transplant.
Yeah, I agree. I do have one last question for you.
I'm here. I'm ready.
So, what advice would you give to someone? It could be anyone. It could be someone in my position, his position, your position, that may be nervous to make a change in their current lifestyle to better their life, even though people may not be supportive.
Sure. I think that's a really good question because I think a lot of people ask that question. And I think a lot of the times they don't ask it out loud, but it's an internal question that drives them, that could lead to frustration because they don't know how to answer that question. I think that one way that they can address action, right, is first become aware of what they want to accomplish. Writing down, I did this 4 or 5 weeks ago because I also, going through the training program that I was going through with this new job, I hit a wall of just being completely overwhelmed. I just had so many different things, right, going on that I realized not a single one thing had my entire focus, my full focus any any day, any time of day. Like I was just stretched so far that I allowed the amount of different things to overwhelm me to the point where I was incapable of taking action. And so, without going into details of all of these specifics, I literally wrote down a list of everything that I wanted to accomplish for the month and that I needed to accomplish. And so, that's kind of key right there. What do you need to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish, right? You have to distinguish between the two, but you have to write everything down. So, this is a cool little tool that I use. I wrote everything down that I wanted to accomplish, that I needed to accomplish. And then I started to break it down into different weeks that I wanted to target a goal, for example, right? This week, I want to target these two goals. This week, I want to target just this one goal because it's kind of a bigger goal and it might take a little bit of time. If when I wrote everything down, I realized all these things have to be done, but they don't all have to be done right now. What is a priority? What isn't a priority, right? What has a timeline? What doesn't have a timeline? Or what has a deadline? What doesn't have a deadline? And so, one cool trick going back to journaling, you're writing it down, right? This is a way of expressing your stress because you have all of these things that you know that you have to accomplish. Write them all down. I wrote them down, and then you tackle them one by one or two by two, and you make it into bite-sized chunks. You can have a steak. You can't put the whole steak in your mouth, but you can eat the whole steak at the end of the meal because you've cut it out and cut it up into bite-sized pieces, right? And so it's the same concept. Write everything down that you have to accomplish and then go through and start breaking it down. If you want to change your whole diet and your workout regimens, write everything down that you want to do. First, it could start with meal prepping, right? Okay, but meal prepping requires meal planning. Meal planning requires going to the grocery store. Now we're starting to break down all of these goals into bite-sized pieces. So with meal prepping, you're going to come up with a plan. I want to meal prep every Sunday, 5 meals for the week because I'm going to be eating dinner at home, right? Okay, just lunches. All right, what are those lunches going to look like? What are those ingredients going to look like? What store am I going to go to? When am I going to go to the store? Am I going to Instacart because it's a little bit easier and I have other things that I can do? So it's literally getting, making a process as stripping it down to the most basic steps so that your overall goal is not something you're trying to shove down your throat, because it's going to be impossible to shove down all these different things down your throat. Bite-sized pieces, and it becomes so much more manageable and less stressful. And you know what? That 50th thing on your list, it's still going to be there, but there's other things that have to be accomplished first. And it's the same thing with your, like a good example is if you're in a relationship and you want to improve your overall marriage, great. How are you going to do that? Well, maybe the way that I talk with my spouse or my boyfriend or girlfriend. Okay, well then how are you going to do that? Okay, so when I talk, I tend to talk a lot and I don't let them talk. Okay, so you're going to be listening a little bit more. Okay. And then when you do react or when you do respond, how are you going to react? Well, I'm going to react with kindness. But how does that start? Well, I'm going to check myself in my head first. I'm going to listen and I'm going to think about what I'm going to say first. And then I'm going to respond. And then what are you going to do after that? And so it's like breaking down every part of your life, right, into a manageable bite-sized piece. And everything, every relationship, whether it's with food, with the gym, with your spouse, with your coworkers, with the kids at school, or with the patients at my work, how do I break down my interactions and the tasks that I need to accomplish in a way that I don't become overwhelmed? And I'll give you a really good example. Maybe this will be the end of me talking because I've been talking a lot, but it's a really good example. We have typically over 100 patients every day in our office, and I don't adjust all of those patients myself. We have three different doctors, and we all kind of cycle through. Not one patient sees one doctor exclusively. That's just the beauty of our office. And so I'll adjust, let's say, 20 to 40 patients a day. And when I was first starting, I'm a new doctor at this new office, at this office that's been established. And all these patients have rapport with these doctors that have already been working there, right? I'm a new doctor coming in and I need to build rapport with these patients, right? But what I realized I was doing is I was so stressed about building rapport that was I was just so stiff. I was rigid. I was systematic. I was just like robotic almost in my interactions with my patients because my goal was I need to build rapport. I need to build rapport. That takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes time to build rapport and to allow and for somebody to allow you into a relationship with them, because that's really what's happening, right? And so I realized, what's the bite size like first step with these patients? You're adjusting them. Okay. You're going to be at the table with them for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. What's the bite size manageable thing? Why don't you just start having fun with them first? Just see where the conversation goes. Don't do anything. Just show up, just say, how you doing? And just try to have fun with the patient. And that'll be step one, right? And so it was like 2 to 3 weeks where every time I would go to a patient, I would say this word in my head, fun, fun. Anthony, have fun, because I wasn't having fun with the patients. I was just so worried about building rapport. And then what happened eventually was I just met the patient where they were at, and I just reacted almost in a really healthy way, not in a proactive versus reactive, but I just reacted to whatever they brought to the table. They're there to see me. I see like 40 of them a day. They only see one of me. And that's super, super important. It's I need to meet them where they're at. And so like I broke down this whole process of building rapport into manageable bite-sized pieces to the point now where I I don't stress about building rapport with my patients anymore. I just show up. I show up and I'm just there for them. I try to have fun and give them the best adjustment possible. And this overall, this overwhelming task of building rapport with 40 different people a day became way more manageable, right? Because it was just a bite-sized piece of step one, have fun. Just enjoy the process. The process is going to look different for everybody. And so now I just show up and it's really easy, to just converse with patients. I'm not overthinking things, but I had to step back, and realize that I had to change something and make it more manageable for me.
Great. Well, obviously, we can tell that you love what you do and you're going to be really good at it because you only started in May, right? It was May.
End of April. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, honestly. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'm in San Diego. I mean, this town is awesome.
Yes, Anthony, we know. Franz, do you have any other questions for Anthony at this time?
Nothing appropriate I can say on here.
You can call me later.
Yeah, call him later. Okay, so go ahead, shout out where you work, where people can find you, contact you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at Acruhealth Precision Chiropractic. It's here in San Diego on Fifth Avenue, and it's right by Balboa Park. What's really important about it, or a key feature of our office, it's kind of a joke, but we have a parking lot. You can park there for free. You don't have to pay for parking, which I realize in San Diego is not common. It's, oh my gosh, it is insane. The parking here is insane. But yeah, I work at an office, with two other docs, and we are really just wellness forward. We want wellness to be an integral part of people's lifestyle and to be their lifestyle. And so we take care of all kinds of different patients. We take care of like 11-week-old babies all the way to 90-year-old grandmas, grandpas. It doesn't matter what age you are, but we work with people that have different walks, and that's what's really cool about our job. But anyway, so we're in San Diego. We have some really good news about a second location coming soon, which is super cool. We're going to be expanding our reach into our community. Really, that's what it is, right? We're really excited about that. And so, yeah, if you want to contact me, just go to acruhealth.com and book an appointment with us, or just come by, look up the office, come say hi, and would love to just connect with you and see where your journey of health and wellness is at right now, and see where you want to be and how we can get you there. It's really what the ultimate goal is.
Thank you, Anthony. And you can go ahead. I'll link everything down below. And this was an amazing chat. I'm so happy for you. I'm proud of you as your friend. And also, just as someone from the outside, I'm so proud of you. We love you, friends. And
Love you guys too. Can't wait to see you guys again.
yes, thank you for being on the podcast today.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's honestly a pleasure and an honor to be on here and just be able to share the knowledge, that I have, and just I would love for us, all to just touch as many people as possible in our lives. It's going to be super cool to see, what we do in our lives.
Exactly. All right. Bye.
Bye.